When you ignore them, you stop feeding their ego and start starving their soul. Let that sink in for a second, my friends, because we've been lied to. We were told if you love hard enough, if you explain well enough, if you show them you care, they'll finally see your worth. But that's not how it works. Not in the real world. In the real world, the one who talks less controls more. The one who pulls back first gains the power. And the one who stays silent, they're the loudest of all. Hey folks, welcome back to Mac's Reddit Story, the place where we don't sugarcoat life. We crack it open, rip the illusions out, and hand you the truth raw. If you're tired of being ignored, disrespected, or strung along by people who only value your presence when it's convenient for them, then you're exactly where you need to be. So, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below, I choose silence. Let's make this the moment you stop performing and start evolving. Now, imagine this. You're in a hallway with 100 doors. You're knocking, yelling, begging, hoping someone opens up. But what if you just stopped? What if you turned your back, walked away in silence, and let them wonder what was behind your door instead? That's the shift. That's the flip. And that's exactly how power moves. Quietly, confidently, like a storm you never see coming until it's already arrived. You see, ignoring someone isn't cruel. It's clarity. It's you deciding, I don't need to prove my worth to someone who couldn't see it when I was giving it for free. Because the truth is, people value what disappears, what becomes rare, what doesn't beg for space in their life. When you ignore them, not to manipulate but to reclaim your peace, you're not just walking away, you're rising above. You're telling the world, I am no longer available for cheap treatment. Most people don't expect that. They expect you to chase, to explain, to crumble. That's the game. That's the test. And when you don't show up to play, you break the whole thing. You shatter the pattern. And suddenly, they're the one wondering, questioning, checking, regretting. Ignoring isn't about being cold. It's about being calculated. It's knowing that not everyone deserves access to your time, your thoughts, your energy. Your attention is a currency. Stop spending it on bankrupt connections. Every time you pull back, you send a signal, not of weakness, but of strength. You're not ignoring them to get them back. You're ignoring them because you're done giving yourself away for nothing in return. And don't get it twisted. This doesn't make you heartless. It makes you whole. You feel everything, but you respond to nothing that threatens your peace. That's what Stoicism is all about. Feeling deeply, reacting rarely, choosing power over chaos. You become the calm in the storm. The ghost they can't stop thinking about, the silence that screams louder than all the words you used to beg with. So if you've been wondering whether pulling back will make them forget you, no, my friend, it makes them remember you differently. Not as the one who begged, but the one who vanished like a king into the shadows. Let them sit with that. Let the silence haunt them. And as we dive deeper into this today, I want you to hold on to this truth. Your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee. Say it in the comments. I choose silence. Press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because what's coming next? It's not just perspective, it's power. Number 1. Ignoring isn't petty, it's precision. Silence isn't revenge, it's evolution in disguise. Let that quote hang in the air for a moment, because too many people confuse power with performance. They think if you're not yelling, posting, or showing out, then you must be weak or bitter. But real power doesn't make noise, it doesn't argue, it doesn't beg for recognition. Real power disappears and lets your absence do the talking. That's what ignoring them really is. Not a game, not a tantrum, not some emotional punishment. It's a surgical move, a precise strike, a decision that says, I no longer negotiate my worth. Imagine this. You're in a storm. You've been trying to build shelter with your bare hands, pleading with the rain to stop, begging the thunder to ease up, trying to talk logic to lightning. But eventually, you stop talking, you stop explaining, you step out of the storm and build somewhere else. That's what ignoring them looks like. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not punishing them, you're protecting yourself. You're not proving anything anymore because you've got nothing left to prove to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. And yet society will try to twist it. They'll tell you silence is petty, that walking away without a grand speech makes you the villain, that not replying makes you heartless. No. The truth is, silence takes strength, restraint, discipline. It's not the easy path, it's the harder one. Anyone can send a paragraph, anyone can vent their emotions. But it takes a man grounded in himself to say nothing when his entire being wants to explain. It takes emotional maturity to sit with the urge to reach out and override it. That's not petty, that's precision, that's strategy, that's stoicism in motion. You might wonder, but won't they think I don't care? That's the fear that keeps so many trapped in the cycle, thinking that if you stay quiet, they'll forget you, thinking that if you don't check in, they'll move on. But here's what most never realize. People don't forget silence, they forget noise. The more you message, the more you explain, the more predictable you become, the less they value it. But when you stop, when you pull away without warning, you create mystery, you create space, and in that space they're forced to sit with the one thing they were never ready for, themselves. You didn't ignore them because you don't care. You ignored them because caring too much was killing you, because giving access to someone who only took and never poured back was costing you your peace, your confidence, your direction. And you finally woke up to the truth that not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone earns your explanation. Some people don't need closure, they need consequences. And silence is the sharpest one there is. They might reach out later, they might test the waters with a like, a message, a little breadcrumb. And when they do, you'll feel that itch to break your silence, to reply, to crack the door open again. But that's where you hold the line. That's where you remember the pain it took to get here. That's where you remind yourself, silence wasn't a moment, it was a movement. A turning point in your life where you stopped shrinking to fit their world and started expanding into your own. It will feel unnatural at first. Your brain will scream for connection. Your heart will ache. But that ache is just withdrawal from the version of you who used to beg. Let him go. Mourn him, but don't revive him, because that man lived for their attention, the man you're becoming. He lives for freedom, freedom from validation, freedom from begging, freedom from needing anyone to recognize his value in order to feel worthy. You're not ignoring them out of spite. You're ignoring them out of alignment. You're stepping out of the role they cast you in, the always available one, the predictable one, the emotional crutch. You're letting them sit in the silence they created, and in that silence they'll hear everything, every ignored message, every dismissed effort, every ounce of love they mistook for weakness. They'll feel it, not because you told them, but because you stopped telling them. So if you're still doubting yourself, still battling the urge to say just one more thing, remember this. Your silence isn't the absence of love. It's the presence of self-respect. It's not a shutdown, it's a step up. You're elevating, and not everyone gets to come with you, especially not those who needed you to speak louder, just to treat you softer. Write this in the comments right now. I choose silence. Not as a tactic, but as a truth. As a declaration that you're done performing for people who never deserved a front row seat to your soul. Show the world that your peace costs too much to be handed away again. Show yourself that you've crossed that threshold and there's no going back. And stay with me, because what's coming next? It's not just about silence. It's about making them feel the weight of your silence. About becoming the one they can't stop thinking about. Not because of what you said, but because of what you refused to say. Keep watching. We're just getting started. Number 2. Attention is a drug. Stop being their supplier. They were never addicted to you. They were addicted to how your attention made them feel. That constant stream of validation, reassurance, energy. You gave it freely, endlessly, like it cost you nothing. But it did. It cost you sleep, confidence, peace. You became their emotional dealer, handing out hits of your presence just to keep the connection alive, even as it drained you. And here's the brutal truth. They weren't grateful. They were high on being wanted, high on being chased, high on knowing that no matter how they acted, you'd always be there. But now the supply is gone. Now you've gone silent, and they're crashing. Your attention is a drug. Every like, every text, every just checking in, those are micro doses of significance. To them, it's emotional caffeine, and they got used to it, expected it, took it for granted, because that's what people do with what's always available. They don't cherish it, they consume it. And when you finally pull it back, when you say, no more, the withdrawal kicks in. Not because they love you, but because they were dependent on the energy you gave them, and now they don't know how to function without it. It's hard to admit, but you trained them to expect you. You trained them to think your attention had no limits, no standards, no boundaries. That they could ghost you, breadcrumb you, disrespect you, and still get your time and energy whenever they wanted. You became predictable. You became background noise. Until one day, you flipped the switch, you unplugged the line, and suddenly the silence was deafening. That's when the panic starts. When they realize the person they used to ignore is now the one ignoring them. When they notice their phone isn't lighting up with your name. When they check their stories and see your name missing. When they post something just to bait you and you don't bite. They're not just missing you. They're missing the feeling of being important to you, and they can't replace it, because no one gives attention like the one who once poured it from a place of love, loyalty, and consistency. But you're done being their emotional vending machine. You're done giving out pieces of yourself to someone who treated your energy like it was disposable. You've realized the most valuable thing you have isn't your money, your time, or your words. It's your focus. Your attention is how you build your life. And every second you gave it to them, you starved your future. You put off your growth, your discipline, your evolution, just to keep them emotionally comfortable. No more. Now your attention goes inward, into your body, your goals, your mindset, into books, workouts, silence, and solitude. Into the quiet kind of work that doesn't need an audience. And the irony? The moment you stop giving it away, people start craving it. The more you go quiet, the more they listen. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped performing for those who never applauded. They'll try to tempt you again. They'll test the waters. A random message, a story designed just for you, a memory they toss out like bait. But this time, you don't react, you don't respond, not out of anger, but out of elevation, because you've seen the cycle, you've tasted the high of attention and the crash that comes after when it's not mutual. You're not mad, you're just done. And if you're worried they'll move on, let them. If they need someone else's attention to feel okay, that's not love, it's dependency, and that's not your burden anymore. You're not here to regulate someone else's self-esteem with daily doses of your presence. You're not here to babysit their ego. You're here to grow, to build, to rise. And to do that, you've got to cut the cord, even if it stings. Here's what most people never understand. When you stop giving attention, it doesn't make you invisible. It makes you unforgettable, because now you're the one they can't read, the one they can't reach, the one who used to give everything and now gives nothing. That shift, it's louder than 1,000 texts. It echoes in their mind. It lives in the back of their thoughts. Because silence from someone who used to give you the world, that's not silence, that's a scream. So protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Give it only to those who pour it back. Stop handing out pieces of your mind to people who never invited you into theirs. Let your absence speak. Let your distance teach. And if they miss it, that's their lesson to learn, not your problem to fix. Comment this below right now. My energy is expensive. Let the world know you're not for free anymore. Let them see the shift. Let them feel the silence. And most importantly, let yourself believe it. Because the moment you stop being their supplier is the moment they realize what they lost was never just attention. It was access to a soul they'll never find again. Stay with me, because what comes next? It's going to show you why silence is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of your dominance. Number 3. Silence creates curiosity, and curiosity breeds obsession. Silence doesn't mean they stop thinking about you. Silence means they start thinking harder, louder, deeper, because nothing messes with the human mind more than unanswered questions. And when you go quiet, fully quiet, no updates, no check-ins, no breadcrumbs, you become the question they can't solve, the itch they can't scratch, the presence they still feel, even when you're nowhere to be found. That's the power of silence. It makes your absence louder than your words ever were. See, people don't realize how much noise they live in until it goes quiet. You used to be the constant voice, the notification, the heartbeat behind their confidence. Even if they didn't say it out loud, they relied on your presence. They counted on it like a rhythm in the background. And when that rhythm stops, their brain doesn't know how to cope. They don't hear silence. They hear the gap, the void, the vacuum left behind where you used to be. At first, they'll act unbothered. That's expected. Pride doesn't break in a day. They'll scroll, laugh, post, pretend. But the silence eats at them, because in a world addicted to noise, the one who doesn't speak stands out the most. When everyone is trying to prove something, trying to show how fine they are, your silence becomes mysterious, unreadable. And humans fear what they can't read. They obsess over it. Let me paint it for you. Imagine you're walking down a street full of open windows, all lit up. You can see inside every room, but one house. It's dark, curtains drawn, no sound, no clues. That's the house you can't stop thinking about. That's where your curiosity goes. Not the rooms you can already see, but the one you can't. Because silence creates tension, and tension pulls focus. When you stop being accessible, you start becoming unforgettable. You didn't block them, you didn't explode, you didn't post cryptic stories begging for attention. You just vanished, clean, calm, confident. And that's what breaks people down. They don't know how to react when they get no reaction. They don't know how to interpret nothing, so their mind creates something. They start overthinking, replaying, rewinding. Was it something they did? Did you meet someone new? Did you stop caring that fast? The loop begins, and it doesn't end. You see, when you're silent, you're not just avoiding drama, you're forcing reflection. You're giving them the mirror they've been dodging. Because when you're no longer available to distract them with love, validation, or emotional support, they're left with one person to face: themselves. And for some, that's the scariest thing in the world. Here's the lie they believed: that you'd always be around, that you'd always respond, that no matter how they acted, you'd still be one text away. But silence breaks that illusion. It rewrites the entire narrative. You've stopped being predictable, and what's unpredictable becomes dangerous, attractive. Your silence starts to feel like rejection, and rejection starts to feel like punishment. Now they're not just missing you, they're doubting themselves. But let's be honest, silence isn't easy, especially when your emotions are screaming to be heard, when you want to explain, when you want to reach out. But silence is restraint. It's the mastery of timing. It's the discipline of letting things unfold without trying to control the outcome. And that level of control, it's rare, it's powerful, it's unforgettable. They'll eventually try something. They'll post something aimed at you. They'll reach out with something casual, pretending it's no big deal. Maybe even act like they were just thinking of you randomly. But that's the first crack. That's the curiosity trying to claw its way through pride, because now they want answers. And they can't get them, because you're not answering anymore. You've gone off-grid, not as a game, but as growth. And here's the part they never saw coming. You don't even want to be chased anymore. You're not waiting for them to realize your value. You're not hoping they come to their senses. You're not building suspense for their grand return. You're just done. The silence wasn't for them. It was for you, to clear your mind, to clean your energy, to close the chapter without needing applause. Your silence is not an invitation. It's a boundary. It says, I'm not here to entertain confusion. It says, if I'm not seen, I'm gone. It says, I'm not here to keep reminding you of my worth. Go learn it on your own time. That's power. And real power doesn't shout. It just is. If you're feeling that pull to break the silence, to say something, anything, remember this. Silence is the only language some people understand. Let them learn. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the space you used to fill and realize how cold it feels without you. Comment this below right now. My silence speaks volumes. Show the world that you've stepped into a new level of self-control. Show yourself that you're no longer available for cycles that drain you. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're diving even deeper. We're going to show you how the mystery you've created becomes the very thing they can't escape. Keep watching. Your silence isn't over. It's just getting louder. Number 4. The mystery you create becomes their new addiction. Familiarity breeds comfort, but mystery, that breeds obsession. See, when you were always available, texting back, showing up, explaining yourself, you were easy to read. You were an open book, and they flipped through your pages without ever bothering to understand the story. They skimmed you, they skipped chapters, they bookmarked you when it was convenient. But the moment you closed the book, the moment the pages went blank and you stopped showing your story, that's when their interest spiked, because now you're not predictable, now you're not explainable, you're mysterious, and mystery, my friend, is magnetic. Humans are wired to solve puzzles, to close loops, to make sense of unfinished business. That's why people chase the unavailable. It's not always about love. It's about the unknown. It's about the space you left behind that now echoes with questions they can't answer. When you were giving them everything, your time, your thoughts, your feelings, it was easy to take you for granted. There was no tension, no space, no contrast. But now your silence is a cliffhanger. Now they're refreshing the page and nothing is loading. And that frustration, that pull, that's the beginning of their addiction to your absence. You didn't change who you are. You just changed your access settings. You locked the doors they used to walk through without knocking. You dimmed the lights they once stood in. And now they're fumbling in the dark, trying to figure out where you went. They scroll past your profile hoping to catch a glimpse, but you've gone quiet. They ask mutual friends how you're doing, but nobody has an answer, and in that space their curiosity grows. Because people don't crave what they understand. They crave what they can't predict. They crave the mystery, and now you've become that mystery. They may not say it, they may not show it, but that doesn't mean they're not feeling it. In fact, the ones who pretend to care the least often end up caring the most, because they never expected to lose access. They thought you'd always be there, that no matter how cold they got, you'd keep warming their ego with your attention, that no matter how inconsistent they were, you'd stay consistent. But now the pattern is broken. Now they can't place you, and that shift creates tension, and tension creates desire. Let's be real, though. Being mysterious isn't about manipulation. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about finally realizing your worth doesn't need to be explained. It needs to be protected. It's about showing, not telling, that your energy isn't a free sample. It's not something people get to taste when they're bored and toss aside when they're full. When you pull back, when you retreat into focus, when you stop broadcasting your every move, you reclaim your narrative. And they can't help but lean in closer, trying to read between lines you no longer write for them. Your mystery makes them feel powerless, and that's what haunts them. Because they had emotional control for so long, they knew how to push your buttons, how to make you react, how to keep you orbiting them with half-truths and hot and cold behavior. But now that you've stopped orbiting, they're spinning. And that spin doesn't stop, because every attempt to decode you now only leads to more questions. Who are you talking to? Why did you vanish so easily? Are you happier without them? Have they been replaced? They'll never admit it, but they're obsessing over every possibility, and none of them bring peace. But let's not forget, mystery is hard. It takes discipline. It takes restraint not to post that photo just to trigger them, not to write that status just to prove a point, not to send that "hope you're good" text when your emotions flare. But mystery is never built in chaos. It's built in clarity. It's not about looking good. It's about being good. Not for them, but for yourself. You're not avoiding them to get noticed. You're avoiding them because you've finally remembered you were never meant to be predictable. When you were predictable, you were forgettable. But now you've become the question they ask in the silence, the tab they keep open in the background, the notification they're hoping for, but not receiving. And here's the twist. The more you focus on yourself, the more they focus on you. Because nothing is more attractive than someone who isn't trying to be attractive. Nothing is more powerful than someone who doesn't need an audience. You're not doing this for revenge. You're doing it for rebirth. You're not interested in being seen by the one who couldn't appreciate you. You're interested in becoming the man who doesn't seek validation to feel real. That's what makes you dangerous now. Not your silence, but your self-mastery. Not your absence, but your evolution. You've become rare. And rarity always creates hunger in those who only knew you when you were common. Comment this below right now. I am the mystery. Show the world, show yourself that you've stepped into that next level. That you're not here to explain anymore. You're here to expand. Let them wonder. Let them overthink. Let them obsess. Because the version of you they thought they knew, he's gone. And what's replaced him? A presence too quiet to chase, too focused to explain, too rare to ignore. Stay with me, because next we're going to talk about how your silence, when held with strength, becomes the emotional pressure they never recover from. Number 5, reactions confirm relevance, so starve them of both. The moment you react, you confirm they still matter. That's the hidden exchange most people miss. A reaction, no matter how small, is a confirmation of relevance. It says, you still have influence over me. And that's all they need. It doesn't matter if you're angry, frustrated, sarcastic, or even defending yourself. Every reaction is fuel. Every emotional response is evidence that they still live in your head rent-free. And the truth is, Some people don't want to be loved. They just want to be felt. They don't crave connection. They crave control. That's why silence is so effective. Because silence doesn't just remove your words. It removes their access to your emotional system. It denies them the mirror they've been using to validate themselves. And suddenly they can't measure where they stand with you. Suddenly their usual tactics, jealousy games, breadcrumb messages, subtle digs fall flat. Because without a reaction, the game dies. Without a reaction, they're not relevant anymore. And that is what drives them insane. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a vending machine, pushing buttons, expecting something to drop. You push once, nothing. You push again, nothing. You start shaking it, hitting it, maybe even yelling at it. But no matter what you do, it stays still. At first it's frustrating, then it's confusing. Eventually it's humiliating. That's what happens when someone who was used to your reactions suddenly gets met with nothing. You become the unresponsive machine, and they're left looking foolish, trying to get something from someone who's no longer offering it. You used to react to every little thing, their hot and cold texts, their disappearing acts, their vague stories meant to trigger jealousy. You used to feel the need to comment, question, confront. But all that did was feed the cycle. It made them the center and you the satellite, orbiting, chasing, reacting, but not anymore, because now you've learned the truth. Not everything deserves a response. Not everyone earns the right to influence your peace. And your energy is far too expensive to be wasted on proving points. They might try harder once they feel your silence. That's normal. When the usual buttons stop working, they press them harder. Maybe a long message appears out of nowhere. Maybe they bring up an old memory. Maybe they act like nothing ever happened, just to pull you back into the emotional arena. But here's the rule now. No response means no access. You're no longer emotionally available for people who only show up when their ego needs a boost. You're not playing this game anymore. You're not giving your fire to someone who only brought smoke. Because here's what they never saw coming. You didn't just go quiet. You went inward. You stopped reacting not because you're numb, but because you've started focusing on things that actually matter. On building, on healing, on evolving. You've chosen discipline over drama. You've chosen to replay their last move, wondering why it didn't work. They'll reanalyze every moment, searching for your reaction. But you're gone from that role now. You've left the script. You've exited the stage. And now they're just shouting into a void, hoping for a signal that won't come. Because you're not available to chaos. You're not responding to people who treated your emotions like a playground. But let's be honest. This takes strength. It takes awareness to know when you're being baited. It takes power to sit with the discomfort of not replying when everything in you wants to fire back. But that restraint, that's where your transformation happens. That's where you sharpen. Because every time you don't react, you remind yourself who's really in control. And let's be clear, Stoicism doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel everything. But you've learned to master your response. It's the ultimate discipline, the ultimate flex. You're not ignoring them because you're petty. You're ignoring them because your peace matters more than your pride. You're not silent because you're cold. You're silent because you refuse to bleed energy for someone who never deserved your warmth. They may accuse you of being bitter. They might call you heartless. That's fine. Let them, because when someone loses access to your emotions, they'll try to villainize your boundaries. They'll project guilt to make you re-engage. Don't. Hold the line. Let them throw stones at the wall you finally built. That wall is what separates the old you, the reactive one, from the new you, the untouchable one. So, here's the truth. Your reaction is your currency. And from this point on, you don't spend it cheap. You don't hand it out just because someone wants a piece of you. You protect it. You invest it in your purpose, in your vision, in your future. And anyone who wants access, They're going to have to earn it through consistency, respect, and truth. Comment this below right now. I owe no reaction. Let the world know, and more importantly, let yourself know, that the most powerful person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one you can't read, the one who doesn't flinch, the one who doesn't need to explain themselves. That's what emotional detachment really is. It's not that you don't feel. It's that you've mastered the space between feeling and reacting, and once you step into that space, you become dangerous. Not because you're cruel, but because you're clear. You used to give them everything: your heart, your time, your attention, your vulnerability. You laid yourself bare, hoping that if they saw all of you, they'd value what they had. But instead, they got comfortable. They stopped trying, they stopped appreciating, because the more you gave, the less they had to earn. And when something costs nothing, it gets treated like it's worth nothing. So now, you're done giving, not out of spite, but out of alignment. You're done handing over emotional access to someone who never learned how to handle it. Detachment isn't bitterness, it's boundaries. It's the quiet decision to stop negotiating your value. It's knowing that peace will cost you people, and choosing peace anyway. It's that moment when you stop responding to provocation, when you don't rise to the bait, when they throw shade or play games and you just observe. No reaction, no explanation, just stillness. That stillness, that's your power. Because now they can't predict you. They can't push your buttons. They can't read you like they used to. And when someone loses control over how you feel, they panic. See, they don't miss the love. They miss the influence, the ability to make you respond, question, chase. But now you're different. You've stepped out of the emotional casino. You've taken your chips and left the table. And they're still sitting there trying to figure out why the game isn't fun anymore. The energy they fed off, your anger, your confusion, your hope, it's gone. And that emptiness, that's the consequence of treating your heart like an afterthought. You've probably heard people say, just don't care. But detachment isn't about apathy. It's about intention. It's about feeling everything, but not being owned by any of it. You can still love them. You can still remember the good moments. But you don't let that pull you back. You don't let nostalgia become a leash. You keep walking forward with eyes open, emotions acknowledged, but hands clean. Because detachment isn't running away, it's rising above. It's saying, I see what this is, and I refuse to lose myself in it again. They'll test you. They always do. When someone feels your shift, they throw out bait, a message, a memory, a sudden burst of attention. And if you respond, they know they still have you. But when you don't, when you stay calm, unbothered, unreachable, they feel it. That silence becomes pressure. That stillness becomes weight. And suddenly they realize they don't know you anymore. Not the way they used to. You've become unfamiliar, unreadable, and people fear what they can't understand. That's what makes detachment so powerful. It turns the tables. They used to be the unpredictable one. They used to have you guessing, doubting, chasing. But now they're the one wondering. Now they're the one questioning. And that mental loop, that's where the obsession begins. Not because you played games, but because you stopped playing altogether. And here's the beautiful part. You don't even care if they notice anymore. Because this shift, it wasn't about them. It was about you. You finally realized that your peace was never going to be found in their attention. You stopped trying to convince someone to choose you and started choosing yourself in ways you never have before. You started pouring that same energy back into your body, your mind, your goals. And the more you poured into yourself, the less space they took up. Now your detachment confuses them because they remember the version of you who would have jumped at a text, who would have stayed up all night overthinking one word, who would have written a whole paragraph just to explain how you feel. But that version of you, he's gone. Not because he died, but because he evolved, he matured, he healed. And what replaced him is someone who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't crumble when someone walks away. So if they still think they can reel you back in with a little attention, let them try, let them throw out the old tricks. Because you're not biting, not because you're angry, but because you're centered. You're done proving, done performing, done making someone your priority when you were barely an option to them. And that energy, that quiet, focused, detached energy, that's what they'll remember the most. Comment this below right now. I respond to peace, not chaos. Let the world know. Let yourself know. Because from this point forward, you don't get dragged into emotional storms. You are the calm. And when people can't shake you, when they can't pull you back into their confusion, they either rise to meet you or they fade into silence. Stay with me, because next, we're going to talk about what happens when you disappear entirely, when you stop performing for the crowd and rebuild in the shadows. Because the real glow-up, it doesn't need to be seen, it needs to be felt. Number 7. Rebuild in the shadows. Not every transformation is meant to be televised. Some are meant to be felt in silence, behind closed doors, far away from the people who doubted you, overlooked you, and used your love as a convenience. See, the real glow-up doesn't happen under the spotlight. It happens in the shadows, where nobody claps for you, nobody reposts your journey, and nobody checks in to see how far you've come. And that's exactly where your next chapter begins. Not with noise, but with discipline. Not with revenge, but with rebirth. You've spent enough time performing, enough time trying to prove your worth through posts, through updates, through second chances disguised as "I'm doing fine" stories. You gave them front row seats to your pain, hoping they'd finally see your value. But they didn't. They scrolled, they watched, and they moved on. So now, you go dark. Not to hurt them, but to heal yourself. You don't need them to witness your rise. They don't get access to your process. Because the stronger you become, the less you need to explain your journey to people who were never willing to walk beside you in it. This is where it shifts. When you go silent, not just to the world, but to their memory. When you stop reacting, stop watching, stop wondering, you unplug from the loop and plug into yourself, into your routines, into your body, into your mindset, into every habit that sharpens your edge and thickens your armor. You get up earlier, you lift heavier, you read more, you speak less, you cut off distractions like they owe you money. And in that solitude, in that sacred isolation, something starts to happen. The old you, the one who over-explained, overextended, overcared, he starts to fade. And in his place, something colder, cleaner, and far more dangerous begins to rise. They're not going to see it happening. That's the point. They're going to wonder where you went, why you're not posting anymore, why you're not liking their stuff, why you haven't responded to that message they sent out of nowhere. But that's no longer your concern. Their confusion is not your crisis. You've stopped feeding their curiosity. And now, every day they don't hear from you becomes a day they hear your absence louder. It echoes, because they expected you to be stuck. They expected you to stay wounded, trapped in some endless performance of trying to get closure. But you chose power instead. You're not rebuilding to prove anything. You're rebuilding because you've finally remembered what you're made of. You've remembered that the most dangerous man is not the one screaming to be heard, but the one who is content in silence, who moves like smoke, hard to follow, impossible to pin down. You used to hand out updates like candy. Now, you don't even leave footprints. You ghost the past, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You've stopped looking back because there's nothing there for you anymore, just echoes of someone who forgot his value, but that man doesn't live here now. And what happens when you return? That's the part they never see coming. You don't come back the same. You don't come back to chase. You don't come back hoping to be noticed. You come back as someone who doesn't need to be noticed. Because now, you are the standard. Now, your presence speaks louder than any update ever could. You walk differently, speak differently, move differently, not to impress, but because you've become different. And maybe they see it. Maybe they don't. Doesn't matter. This isn't about them anymore. This is about the man you're building in private. The man who doesn't need applause to validate his process. Who doesn't need an audience to become exceptional. The man who shows up for himself, even when no one's watching. Because that's when it's real, when the lights are off, and the only voice pushing you is your own, when no one is checking for you, and yet you're still pushing, still grinding, still choosing discipline over dopamine. That's what separates the boys from the men, the chasers from the builders, the emotionally wounded from the emotionally dangerous. So stop wondering if they'll notice. Stop trying to be seen. Just rebuild. Quietly, ruthlessly, like a ghost learning how to wear armor. And by the time they realize who you've become, it'll be too late. They won't recognize you, not because you're hiding, but because you've outgrown the version of you they were once familiar with. Comment this right now. I rebuild in silence. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you've chosen the path most won't take, the one that isn't loud but leads to legacy. Hit that like button if this hit something in you. Subscribe so you never miss the next chapter, and turn on notifications because we're not done yet. This isn't the end. This is your origin story. Your silence isn't a pause. It's the sound of something unstoppable under construction.